And thanks so much. Definitely wrapping up things after day 2 of full padded practice here at TCO Performance Center here in Eagan. And for the Minnesota Vikings, a lot of familiar faces returning to the lineup, especially on defense, such as players like Anthony Barr. Even on the kicking side, Dan Bailey will be returning to the Minnesota Vikings for his second season. Now, Dan Bailey's been around the NFL for about 9 years, and although there's maybe not somebody here that's going to challenge him physically for the kicking spot, he knows that every single roster spot on the NFL is something that you can't ever take for granted.
The reality is there's 32 of these spots out there, and even though there's not somebody physically here that I'm competing against, that's a spot that I want to keep for sure. And so yeah, you're always competing against yourself. Don't think for 1 minute I'm taking any shortcuts or patting myself on the back like I've accomplished anything, because I certainly haven't. And that's the way I try to approach it every day, and just go out there and push yourself and aim for perfection. Understand that that's going to be a tough goal, but it's a good one to have. And at the end of the day, I hope that it's enough to keep one of those spots. Now
the Minnesota Vikings, the players will have a day off tomorrow. Good to get some time away, both on the body and the mind, to relax before they come back for a full practice again on Wednesday. Back to you guys. And what a night indeed it was here for the Minnesota Twins. They took the series opener against the Atlanta Braves by a 5-3 score in dramatic fashion. Miguel Sano providing the heroics with a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 9th inning. In pinch hit fashion, it was Michael Kadire back in 2006 against the Los Angeles Angels. It was the last Twin to get a pinch hit home run. And Rocco Baldelli said before tonight's game that Miguel Sano, who has matured so much as a player and just with his preparation, led him to the opportunity to provide the heroics in last night's game.
In the situation last night, Miggy was completely prepared to go out there and do what he did. He was of that mindset. He was actually talking about it during the game. He was about as ready to go up there and contribute to a win as you could ask a guy to be.
We knew. Miggy Sano doesn't pop out to the warning track. It's just not something he does.
Wow, what a moment for Miguel, too, coming off the bench and picking us up like that. I mean, that Martin guy's no joke either. He's got some good stuff. So big win for us against a tough team. What a way to start a series against those guys.
As soon as I hit the ball, I say, that's gone. The adrenaline and everything. As soon as I get counted, I say, damn, that's crazy, that's gone.
Now the Minnesota Twins, looking at last night's game, is just one more step towards their ultimate goal of making a postseason run. Now it's Jose Barrios on the mound tonight in Game 2 against the Braves, as the Twins look to stay perfect on their current 10-game homestand, as they're already 4-0. That's right, guys. Out here in St. Paul, where the Wild have indeed relieved General Manager Paul Fenton of his duties. Craig Leopold would even say that this timing of it was certainly not ideal. But over the last 14 months since Paul Fenton was brought on to the Minnesota Wild staff, he felt like it was a culmination of smaller things, not necessarily one big thing, that got to the point where he needed to make a change.
The reason for the termination is not any one big issue, but it was over a time, smaller issues just were building up, and ultimately decided that this was not a good fit, that our organization and our culture were a little different than the way Paul wanted to handle things, and we just felt this was the time to do it, and we were going to move forward in a different direction.
Now, Craig Leopold did say that this mistake was on himself, and that to prevent things in the future, he's going to incorporate former NHL star Mike Modano in on the hiring process for the new GM. Meanwhile, while the team searches for the next permanent general manager, assistant general manager Tom Curvers will assume the role as interim general manager. Live outside the Xcel Energy Center in St. Paul, Nick Maxson, Fox 9 Sports. The Minnesota Twins have been knocking the cover off the baseball all season long. They have 241 home runs this season to prove it. But at times, the team has not gotten the hits when they needed them. The Bomba squad looking to get back into the win column tonight as they host the White Sox for game number 2 at Target Field. Top of the 5th, score tied at 3 with 2 outs, and Max Kepler looking to take advantage of a runner on first First, it's a half swing, and then it should be an easy play to end the inning, and it's off the glove of first baseman Jose Abreu. He can't hold on to the baseball. J.K. moves to third, and this time the Twins are going to try to make the most out of their extra out. But hold on, it's the return of the squirrel from last night as he scurries right between the legs of Max Kepler at first. He scurries and runs all the way towards the White Sox dugout. Players don't seem to be fazed by his presence as he runs around for a few seconds before making his way out into the left field stands. You can see the fans looking to see where he is, and just out of the blue, he pops out and then scurries into the left field grass and scurries again towards the wall in left center field before finding that emergency exit. Nelson Cruz, then the next pitch, will double off the wall in right field. He will score 2 runs. The Twins open up a 7-3 lead. All 4 runs coming from the air at first base. As you can see, Nelson Cruz happy with that hit there. At the bottom of the 8th, Max Kepler hits a ball high off the wall in right center field. He will score C.J. Cron. The Twins go up 12-4. Jorge Polanco would add another 2-run blast, and the Twins even this series against the White Sox as they take this game by a final score of 14-4. Elsewhere in the American League Central, Cleveland taking on the New York Mets, tied at 2 in the bottom of the 6th, and it's Michael Conforto who hits a towering 2-run home run to right center field, and the Mets take the lead 4-2. The Mets would tear apart the Cleveland relievers that they take on 4 more runs in the 7th to make it an 8-2 ball game. The Mets close this one out and win it 9-2, and the lead for the Twins in the American League Central is now at 3 games. The Minnesota Vikings, now 2 preseason games in, are reaching the point here late in August where roster decisions are looming and jobs are being won and lost. A lot of attention has been paid to the wide receiver position since the start of training camp, but for the battle for the backup quarterback position has recently heated up, with both Sean Mannion and Kyle Sloter each showing promise. Both are happy with what they have shown so far, but head coach Mike Zimmer says they both need to show further improvement in their games to become the backup quarterback the team needs.
He's got to get a lot better in a lot of the other parts of being a quarterback, making the right checks, getting the people in the right formation, making sure the motion's there, not missing the time clock when it's 8 yards in front of you. There's a lot of things that he has to get better at if he wants to be the backup quarterback.
I feel really, really strongly that I've put my best foot forward every day since I've been here, and I felt great about my work in the spring. I felt great about my camp and my 2 preseason games so far. I'm not going to really worry myself with what other people are thinking. Like I said, I feel like I put my best foot forward, but those are other people's decisions. But I'm happy with what I've done so far.
Former Vikings kicker Greg Coleman held his annual celebrity golf tournament today at Bunker Hills, with the proceeds going towards the YMCA in the greater Twin Cities area. The tournament has been around for a number of years, and Coleman says it's always a joy to make a positive impact on children's lives throughout the community.
The core values of the YMCA, they're very, very much aligned with the core values of golf. So same church, different pew. Regardless to what vehicle you use to get to young people, you use it. In sports, it's been a vehicle. Sports and music, it's been a vehicle that's been used for ages and ages. It doesn't change. So if we can inspire one young person to change their life, to do something for the good, then everything and all of the effort that we have done over the last 21 years, it has not been in vain.
And that's your look at sports. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Nick Maxson. We'll have more on the show later on at 10 o'clock. And we're standing by, guys, with Tanner Teege. Tanner, 10 catches over 125 yards for you this afternoon. Just what was the catalyst for your big game today?
I just was out here trying to do what I could to help the team, and it just happened whenever I had the opportunity to get the ball. I just tried to make the most of it and do what I can to help us win.
Third quarter, you guys went down 14. You showed resiliency, got back up into the lead in the fourth quarter. You lose it late. Just how tough does this feel to lose this one late?
Yeah, it's tough, but at the end of the day, like you said, we showed that resiliency, we showed that toughness, and that's what we are. That's what we're going to bring every single game, and all we can do now is go watch the film on this game, get better at what we need to get better at, and go out and go win the next one.
Tanner, thanks so much for your time. Austin and Leif will send it back up to you guys. And thanks very much, Kirsten. Coach, scoring points has come at a premium for your club this year. You're only averaging about 12 points a game, yet your offense is moving the ball quite well, on average 340 yards per game. How do you take these offensive drives and convert them to more points on the board?
That's a $64,000 question right there, and that's something we've obviously been frustrated with. really our whole program has, where we have moved the ball well and we haven't been able to finish off drives for a variety of reasons. Honestly, some of it's been self-inflicted. Some of it's been the other team making some plays on us, but clearly that's something we got to do a better job at today against St. Cloud State.
And speaking of St. Cloud State, coming in on the defensive side of the ball, St. Cloud State brings in a very balanced attack, both on the run and in the pass game. How do you look to contain a very opportunistic St. Cloud State offense?
Well, you know, they got a lot of weapons. That's probably the thing that jumps out at you. Quarterback, running back, tight end, receiver, real big and physical on the O-line. So it's you can't really concentrate or try and say we're going to stop one guy or one aspect of their team. So you really got to be solid all the way across the board. And then ultimately you got to do that. You got to get some balls. You know, you got to get some takeaways and you got to get some short fields for your offense.
Coach, thank you very much for your time and good luck this afternoon. Leif and Austin, we'll send it back up to you inside the press box. October is back, and that also means the return of St. Cloud State University men's hockey is tonight. They open their season against the University of Alberta. Welcome inside the Herbrooks National Hockey Center alongside Rachel Herzog. I'm Nick Maxson. Rachel, just 5 months ago, yet another first-round exit in the NCAA tournament. This one was absolutely devastating. Just how long does it take for a club to get over a loss like this?
Well, a loss like that, Nick, you're never going to get over that one. I know from personal experience, that sucks. But they're going to use that this season to get the season going, and I think the coaches are really going to instill that in the guys this year.
Let's go right into the keys to tonight's game, brought to you by St. Cloud Subaru, the safest cars on ice. And for the University of Alberta, they're coming in tonight red hot.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Nick, they are off to a great start this season. They're 8-1 on the season already. They got those games under their belt, and they just beat two-time defending national champions Duluth last night, 5-3. So it's definitely not going to be an easy game tonight.
Heading over to the St. Cloud State Huskies here for their keys to the game. And first of all, it's freshmen.
Oh my goodness, yes, Nick. They have 10 new faces this year. They have big shoes to fill. They lost a lot of scoring power from the senior class last year. So this game's really going to get their feet wet and get them going for the season to come.
And again, another key for the Huskies is going to be their new captain in Jack Ashawn.
Jack Ashawn, I know him personally. He is a great leader. I can tell just from talking to him these past 4 years. He's got some big shoes to fill as well with Jimmy Scholl leaving the team last year, but he is next to best.
Let's head over to Nick Spiliopoulos, who is standing by with the head coach of the University of Alberta. Coming up at halftime, I'll take you back inside the studio to break down the first half highlights. We will also take a look around the NSIC conference. And here at St. Cloud State, we will also look into why football and homecoming go hand in hand. Leif, thank you, and welcome back inside the studio. Again, a heartbreaking loss here as the Huskies are defeated by the Northern State Wolves by a final score of 20-17. Let's take a look at the game highlights, starting off in the first quarter as things get rolling here on homecoming day. St. Cloud State looking to get things going on the opening possession. The Huskies looking to strike early, and as they do, it's Dwayne Longhorn who steps up in the pocket and fires it to Peo Parker in the middle of the end zone for the touchdown. Huskies marching for 74 yards on the opening drive. They take a 7-0 lead. Wolves go 3-0 on the first possession, but it's an interception by defensive lineman Zach Mose, and the big man will run this one all the way back to the 40-yard line. Northern State getting a huge turnover in their own zone. Northern State will get the ball back at the start of the second quarter, and Hunter Trotman looking to stretch the field, and he finds, a wide open Dakota Larson for the 76-yard touchdown reception. No question, a busted coverage there. And just for the Husky defense, this is not going to sit well with the coaching staff. And all of a sudden, we have a tie game here at Hockey Stadium, 7-7. St. Cloud State back on the ensuing possession, looking to answer back, and it's the senior connection, Dwayne Longhorn, who finds his favorite target, John Solberg, for the strike. That will cap off a 7-play, 78-yard drive. Huskies retake the lead, now 14-7. St. Cloud State again on its next possession, and it's John Solberg all by himself as he takes the pass again from Dwayne Longhorn. He's going to just make the defender Mitch. Solberg in the first half had 6 catches over 100 yards receiving, and Adam Stage would add on a late field goal to give the St. Cloud State Huskies a 17-7 lead. Northern State on a Hunter Trotman sneak gets this one close, 17-14. We pick it up in the second half, and after a big, and I mean a big 37-yard passing play from Hunter Trotman, it's the play of the game, and as we mentioned before, it's Peyton Conrad on the interception. It's the takeaway the Huskies needed, but again, we mentioned Huskies can't take advantage. The Wolves get the ball back, and they march down the field, and it's on the 2-yard line. It's a Clayton Grumich touchdown. The Wolves take their first lead of the night. It's now 20-17 after a mixed extra point. Offenses for both teams drawing up here in the second half as Northern State starting to drive on their own 3-yard line. And what looked to be a game-changing play as Jack Anderson getting the carry. Huskies looked like they have him wrapped up for a safety, but look at this. He spins out and he gets away. And unfortunately for the Huskies, unable to get back in this game. And as we can see, again, Northern State almost dominant in every category. They edge the Huskies in total yards with 374 as well as first downs. The big question of the night, of course, is the turnovers and the time of possession. Northern State just on top of St. Cloud State, 35 minutes and 34 seconds on the night for Northern State. And thank you so much for joining us here. Our next broadcast for Husky football will be Saturday, October 9th, as the Huskies will host Southwest State University from Minnesota. For Leif Ender, as well as us and Chandler Rodnick, Maxson, as we so long here from Husky Stadium as the Huskies fall again 20-17. For many young athletes, the dream of advancing their collegiate career is one that often originates in their own backyard. This year, the NCHC has taken steps to amend the recruiting process, and the new legislation will let kids be kids.
The changes made were long overdue. The recruiting environment had become unhealthy. Through incredible efforts of many, we were able to usher through watershed legislation that has and will make the recruiting experience better.
He just meant it was getting too young. I think for the players and for the schools, you're making a decision at such a young age for the kid and a limited amount of the viewing for us, that it just got a little crazy. And kids were maybe picking the wrong schools. Schools were maybe recruiting a kid before they knew exactly what they were getting. And the new rules pushed it back a year, which I think everybody's happy about.
Recruiting conversations now must wait until January 1st of the student's 10th grade year, and verbal offers are now only permitted on August 1st before the student's 11th grade year. But Huskies defenseman Jack Ashan believes the new rules won't highly impact future college recruits.
It's going to be a little bit different. Maybe people won't look at the younger guys as much, and I mean, a lot of our recruits and commits, even my teammates here, they got recruited at a late age, and I think late bloomers are kind of the thing right now. So it's definitely going to change that, but I think it's going to help teams know that the younger kids still have a lot of time to improve and develop.
Honestly, it takes a lot of pressure off younger kids, so kids don't have to be their best player at 15 or whatever it is. There's late bloomers, and it takes pressure off them that they can just continue to develop, and then college hockey at the end of the day will be better.
Some of the best kids ever to come through St. Cloud have been kids that were recruited when they were 19 or 20, and we're seeing some of the same things now with the kids that we've got here, where those older late bloomers can be a huge part of your program, and a lot of programs are doing a really good job of being patient enough and finding that right balance, and that's what we're trying to do here. Not always go after the young hotshot per se, be selective there, but make sure we're doing the right things to make sure we have opportunities for that late bloomer kid.
We were not intending to create perfect legislation. I don't think that's realistic. We were attempting to create legislation that attacked an unhealthy recruiting culture. And although more time is needed to analyze the impact, the initial feedback is that it's doing what it was intended to do.
And that is to let young players know college hockey will always be worth the wait. And welcome to this week's edition of Hockey and Chill. Again, I'm joined by head coach Brett Larson. Brett, a couple of really good topics we're going to discuss in this week's film session. As you roll our first clip, we're going to talk about how important it is for forwards to apply back pressure to the neutral zone and how that can lead to transition hockey.
Well, it's a big part of the game. You can tell when your team's into it, too. You're winning these races. You see Jack Paling here cut that off, create a turnover. Now you're looking to go north with it quick and attack. And it's a huge part of our game. With our speed up front, if we can do a good job back pressuring teams, it's going to create offense for us and it's going to limit theirs.
Second topic we want to discuss on today's episode is shooting indirectly at the net. A lot of teams in college hockey now do such a good job of taking away the shooting lanes directly toward the net, and how shooting away from the net and getting some tips on that really can help you create a better scoring opportunity.
This is where the game, I think, just has continued to get better and better, and people are learning and finding different ways. But
shot blocking and being in the lane has become so good now. Sometimes it's just so hard to get the pucks to the net against these teams, and they have layers of it. It's not just the top player. D are now taught to front down below and block shots and leave the guy in behind you, rather than in the old days you'd just be trying to push that guy out of the way. Well, guys are too big and strong to push out of the way now. So we call it having layers around the net. We want to have guys, we say eyes and feet. So you always want somebody in the goalie's eyes, somebody off to the side of the feet, and giving you options, either a direct quick shot or look into those plays off net to try to create some opportunities.
And Brett, the last topic of conversation we'll have today is the third forward help down below in the defensive zone, and how having good support on your defenseman can help create a good breakout, and then again limiting offensive chances for your opponent.
We talk a lot about a low and slow center. It sounds kind of funny, but you want that player underneath their coverage, and whether it's D-zone structure breakout where he's the next guy to a puck in a battle, or it's a little pop play to the center real low, it gives you the opportunity to get underneath their forecheck and allow the wingers to push up and create some space. So for us, having a low and slow center, a guy that's in a good position to support the D, really helps with the breakouts, and if there's a turnover, he's in a good defensive position.
And we see here in this glass clip, I should say, Sam Henches does a really good job. Again, he cycles in behind that to grab a loose puck. He, in fact, creates a breakaway opportunity here for Yami Cornell. This is what leads to his first collegiate goal.
Yeah, great goal, by the way, too. So obviously that support down there is critical. And like I said, there's a lot of pucks that end up kind of in areas. So the defensemen are taught to defend. They're pushing guys to a certain area. If that center can get down there and pick up those loose pucks, you can create a lot of offense out of it, because the other team's F3 is usually fairly high. So now that center has the opportunity to step into some space and look to make a play.
Brett, always a pleasure. Again, thank you for coming in and joining us breaking down film. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks for having me.